Welcome back to the second part of this tutorial, how to build your own iOS Bitcoin app. In this part, we will build Bitcoin price flow. So what it is. In the previous video, you might already know that once the app starts, UI shows Bitcoin price view. Bitcoin price view uses Bitcoin price view model. Bitcoin price view model calls Bitcoin price service. In our case, it will be an API. The service gonna hit CoinGecko API and return Bitcoin price. In other words, we're gonna build price fetcher in Swift. So let's go to Xcode and we will start with the service. So in our service folder, we're gonna create a new empty file and call it Bitcoin price service. We start with foundation. Foundation gives us access to networking tools like URL session for making API calls, for example. Now we need to define our service. I will wrap everything inside a structure called BitcoinPriceService because it keeps the code organized and reusable. Now we can fetch real-time price function. This function is static, meaning we don't need to create an object to call it. It takes a completion handler. That's just a closure we'll call later with the Bitcoin price. Now we need our API call as a string. This URL you can also call in the web browser. It looks the following. It just returns Bitcoin and the currency. Now we need to guard let URL, which safely creates a URL. If it fails, we immediately return nil. Now let's make the network request. This is the main part. It sends a request to the API, and the response comes back asynchronously in this closure. So first we check if we actually got data. Then we use JSON decoder to convert the raw JSON into a Swift structure called Bitcoin price response. If the coding succeeds, we call the completion handler with the price. If not, we return none. In the end, we want to resume the task. Resume starts the network call. Without it, nothing happens. So in summary, this function makes a request to CoinGecko's API, decodes the JSON, and gives us the latest Bitcoin price in USD, all wrapped inside a clean service structure. Now let's move to the view model. In the view model folder, create an empty file and call it BitcoinPriceViewModel. This view model connects the Bitcoin price fetching logic with SwiftUI. We import the foundation first and create our class. This class is going to be observable object. Observable object is a protocol that makes this class compatible with SwiftUI's data binding system. It allows views to observe changes in this class. Let's create a published property current price. We want to mark it as published, which means whenever the value changes, SwiftUI updates the UI automatically. And we will also store the timer. And now let's create the function fetchPrice. We will call the service function we built earlier. We use dispatch queue because UI updates must happen on the main thread. As you can see, this line causes some problems. In the future, we will trigger Price Alert Manager to send notifications. I will comment it out for the moment, and in the future videos, we will use this line. Now that we have our view model fetching Bitcoin prices, let's connect it to SwiftUI and actually display the live price on screen. For this, let's go to our Views folder and create an empty file. We will call it BitcoinPriceView. We have a private variable view model and we want to make it state object. So we need to mark it as a state object. This means that the view owns the view model and keeps it alive while the view is on screen. Since it shows us some errors, let's import SwiftUI. And here we have an error missing v, so it should be private variable. Now let's build the body of the view. We will use vStack to stack elements vertically. We need some spacing. We'll set it to 15. And the text will display Bitcoin price. So this will be our first text. It is just the title. Below, we want to display the actual price. So we type text again and use view model current price. By the way, let's create a preview so that we see the changes live. So let's see if we can see something. Two titles should appear. Okay, so it's not perfect, but let's see what we can do. Instead of my Mac, let's use iPhone 16. So we need to wait. Alright, so we see the title, Bitcoin price, and we're supposed to see the current price. We don't see the price yet because we do not fetch the price. So we created a function called fetch price, which should give us the current price. Let's create a refresh button first. And here we need our fetch price function. And now you can see the price. To make our button a bit more nicer, let's do some additional steps. We need a padding and a background color. Foreground color we will make white. And the last step we need is a clip shape. Clip shape will allow us to have a capsule shape of the button. Let's try it. So now it looks better. When we refresh, we receive a new current price. If you noticed, the price appeared only when I tapped the button refresh. But of course we need this price to be on appear. So once we open this page, we want to see the price immediately. For this, we want to use an on appear method. So we will create it here and dot on appear, and here we need view model fetch price. So here's the thing. If we have fetch price, it means that once we open the page, we fetch the price and we see this price all the time. But of course, Bitcoin prices are changing, they might change every second. Let's create another function called start fetching price every, let's say, 10 seconds, and the price will be updated every 10 seconds automatically. Let's go back to Bitcoin Price View Model, and somewhere here we will create another function called start fetching price every second. Inside this function, we call function fetch price because we already created it. And here we will put the timer. So instead of 10, we will use 60. Every minute, we will have an updated price. Repeats true. Since we have start fetching, now let's also build stop fetching. This function stops the timer if we don't want updates anymore. And when we call this method, it immediately fetches the price once. Then it sets up a timer that triggers every 60 seconds. And now in our view, instead of fetching price on appear, we will use the function start fetching price every second. Actually, fetching price every minute. All right, so let's change it to minute. And here we will copy paste it. Great, so it appears and we see the price immediately. We refresh and it refreshes the price. That's it for today's video. In the next video, we will build prediction using Core ML. We will use Jupyter Notebook and we will build the machine learning model, and we will integrate that model into our app. Like and subscribe not to miss the next part of this tutorial.